Hi everyone, my name is Christina Morales and I'm a licensed real estate agent in the state of California. Today I am going to be presenting video 1 of the closing cost series, and in this video we're going to discuss what to expect when selling your home with a real estate agent. So let's begin.
If you want to sell your house very fast for cash, then House Cash In gets the cash flowing.
First thing to note is to each its own, and what that means is that both buyers and sellers have closing costs. Sellers have higher closing costs because sellers typically pay for the real estate agent commissions. Now let's take a moment to briefly discuss a quick overview of real estate agent commissions and how it works. So the first and most important thing to note is that commissions are always negotiable. They can vary by location, price, and brokerage. When I say location, I mean that depending on where you're selling your home, you could be selling in a buyer's market, you could be selling in a seller's market, and that can influence the commission rate being charged. Also, some influences could be the price point as well as the brokerage, because each brokerage independently decides the commissions rates that it will charge. If you're going to go with the full service brokerage, you can expect to pay anywhere between 5 and 7%. And an important thing to note is that the commission being paid is split 50-50 between the buyer's agent and the listing agent. Now in this presentation, I have broken out closing costs into 2 categories: out-of-pocket expenses and closing costs that are netted from proceeds. What I mean by out-of-pocket expenses, these are items that you'll pay for before closing happens. So let's walk through some typical out-of-pocket expenses that you'll see. The first one you'll note is home repairs, and this is in the preparation phase of selling your home. So before you put your home on the market, you do certain things to prepare your home for sale. And one of those things could be home repairs, fixing things that you know need to be fixed before you put it on the market. And the reason you'll want to do that is because it's important that your home is ready so that it shows at its best when buyers come in. Another expense you could have during the preparation phase is professional staging. Not every seller chooses to do this. I'm a huge proponent of professional staging because studies have shown that staging a home can not only increase the speed of which your home is sold, but can also increase the price at which it's sold. So professional staging is definitely something you'll want to discuss with your realtor to see if it's something that you need and if it can help enhance your home to buyers. Once you get an offer, you go into escrow. And at the beginning of the escrow period is called the contingency period. And that is the period in which buyers have time to do all of their due diligence. So they're going to be doing inspections, reviewing documents, and making sure that they know exactly what they're getting into when they purchase your home. An inspection that you often see sellers cover is the termite inspection, at least in my area. Oftentimes the sellers will pay for the termite inspection, and they could pay if any findings come up on that inspection. The other thing to expect is a request for repairs. After the buyer has done their inspections, things come up that they didn't anticipate. And so they'll come to the seller and say, "Hi, these items I didn't anticipate when I made my original offer, and I would like you to fix them. Or I want you to give me a credit against the purchase price because I'm going to have that expense. And what I offered you didn't anticipate those repairs." In California, where I'm at, a seller can do a few things. Number one, they can fix everything that's on that list. They can choose which items they want to fix. They can decide to give a certain amount in a credit back to the buyer, or they can completely ignore the request for repairs. But there is potential that you could have some expense in getting things corrected in order to proceed with closing. Point of sale inspections. So while I'm in California now, I'm originally from Ohio. And in the county that I grew up in, there was a point of sale inspection because I had a well and a septic, and the county requires that inspections are done before ownership is transferred. That could be an expense for the seller, could be an expense for the buyer, but it is a potential expense. And note, I wanted to make you aware that you'll want to make sure that you don't have any point of sale inspections in your area. Another fee that you'll see is HOA fees. So as a seller, you have an obligation to provide the buyer with all of the HOA documentation so that they can review the rules and the regulations that the HOA is going to impose on the property. And the HOA will charge the seller a documentation fee. They will also charge the seller a member transfer fee. So the member is whoever owns the property, and because you're selling it to someone else and a new owner will take the place of the previous owner, there could be a fee to transfer that membership. Now, some closing costs you typically see netted from proceeds are title services. So a title company ensures that a clear title is being transferred. So if there's anything that they need to note, any issues with taking title, that'll come from the title report. And they typically will charge a percentage of the purchase price. Escrow services. Escrow companies are a neutral third party who carry out the written instructions provided by the seller and the buyer, and that's the agreements that you came to. So they ensure that all of the things are met, and they typically charge a base rate, so somewhere between $200 and $250 where I'm at, and then plus they charge $2 for every $1,000 in the purchase price. So if you take $250,000, which will be in our example, and you divide that by 1,000, you have $250. So that $2 would be charged against $250. Note, not every area has a separate title and escrow company. In California, I have a title company that I work with. I also have an escrow company that I work with. But in Ohio, the title company is the escrow agent. So just note that your area, it could be different. And the important part is to know you'll have title fees and then you'll have escrow agent fees. Transfer tax. A transfer tax is a county, city, or state tax on change of ownership. And that can be calculated as either a percentage of the purchase price or a set price per thousand. Property taxes. You're going to owe your prorated share of the property taxes owed. If you've prepaid taxes, you'll get a credit back for anything that you've overpaid, and that's going to be based on when things are due and paid in relation to the closing date. Mortgage. So if you have a mortgage balance, that's going to be deducted, and it's also going to be prorated for the interest and fees. That's going to be prorated based on when you held the property and when it was due. So that's a prorated number, and that comes out of proceeds as well. HOA dues, if you pay monthly, quarterly, annual HOA dues, you're going to be responsible for the prorated share of those dues, and that'll be deducted from your proceeds. Now let's walk through a very general example of how it works. So here are our assumptions. We're going to assume that the purchase price is $250. For simplicity's sake, I'm saying there's no mortgage balance. The commission being charged is 6%. The escrow fee, the base is $250, and then they're going to charge $2 for every $1,000 of the purchase price. The transfer tax is going to be $1.10 per $1,000 of the purchase price, and we are selling in the state of California. Commission. So if you're selling a home for $250,000 and you're giving your real estate agent 6%, then in commissions you would have paid $15,000. Again, note that your listing agent isn't receiving that full $15,000. It's going to be divided between agents and then brokerages. Title services, I just use my title company schedule. So at $250, they would charge $1,031. Escrow fees, again, the base is $250, and then it's $2 for every $1,000 of the purchase price. So that comes out to $750. Transfer tax is $1.10 for every $1,000 of the purchase price. So it's $250 times 110, and that's a transfer tax of $275. Prorations, I just did a plug number, and we're going to say that for this example, prorations for taxes, HOAs, anything that is due is $2,594. And I didn't mention this earlier, but typically you'll see a seller pay for the buyer's warranty, a home warranty. And what that is if anything major breaks down in the home, and within that first year, the buyer has a warranty that will cover it. And a seller will usually pay for the first year. And then if the buyer wants to continue it, they pay any subsequent years. So let's do a quick summary of what that looked like. Commissions at $15,000, prorations at $2,594. The title policy is $1,031, escrow $750. The home warranty is $490, and the transfer tax is $275 for a total of $20,140, or 8.1 of the purchase price, which is in the range because you can expect that sellers' closing costs can range anywhere from 6 to 10% of the purchase price. As I mentioned, this is video 1 in the closing cost series. So this was what to expect in closing costs if you are selling your home with a real estate agent. In video 2, we're going to be discussing what your closing costs would look like and what you can expect when you sell as a for sale by owner, which we call a FSBO. And then last, we're going to talk about what to expect in closing costs when selling to an investor. And then we're going to put it all together, and there's going to be a video that will summarize what your closing costs look like when you use a real estate agent versus when you do a for sale by owner or when you use an investor. I hope this was helpful and that you have a little bit of clarity around closing costs when using a real estate agent. Of course, if you have any questions or require any more information, feel free to visit housecashin.com. Until the next video, have a great day.
If you wanna sell your house very fast for cash, then House Cash In gets the cash flowing.